Hi, I'm Nancy O'Neill. We're so happy to have you with us on today's Suncoast FYI. We're going to start the show with Tim Self, President-elect of Sertoma Kids, and Pam Plank, the Executive Director. They're here to share important information about this wonderful nonprofit. Thank you for being here, and we're looking forward to learning more about what is Sertoma Kids and what's the history of it, so our viewers can find out a little bit more.
Sure. Sertoma is actually an acronym that stands for Service to Mankind, and it's a national nonprofit civic organization that was founded about 100 years ago. Here in Sarasota, we've had a club for about 60 years, and since 1959, we've had a speech and language clinic. Nationally, Sertoma focuses on hearing and speech. Here locally, we focus primarily on speech and language, and our clinic today is known as Sertoma Kids because we focus on kids with needs for speech and language and kids maybe that have financial needs and need some help with these services.
Okay. And what type of services do we offer the community, and is it the surrounding communities, not just Sarasota?
Correct.
Okay.
We offer services to anyone in the general area. We have families that come from Manatee County, Sarasota County. We have families that come from Northport.
Okay. And what do you offer, Pam? I mean, and you're a speech pathologist?
I'm a speech language pathologist. So we provide services for any child that has any type of disability that would encompass a speech, language, or communication disorder. That is very great. It's the scope of practice is very large for that.
Okay. And how do you determine what are the signs to determine whether a child is suffering from this?
Well, there are many signs. Typically, parents start to realize when their child is young, if they're not making any sounds, if they're not responding, if they're not making eye contact, if they are not laughing and smiling, and meeting those developmental milestones.
Okay. And what is the scope of the practice? I mean, tell us a little bit more about what you get into, not just speech, language.
Well, our scope of practice is very large. People often think that speech pathologists work with people with a lisp or with a stutter, but we really encompass a lot more than that. 1 in 6 children has a developmental disability, and 1 in 12 children has a disability that's only related to speech, language, or swallowing. So there is a great need for what we do. Children.
Absolutely.
The scope of practice encompasses children with mild disabilities, which would be speech or language impairments, all the way up to children that have severe developmental disabilities that would include autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, intellectual disabilities. So our scope of practice is wide.
Wide, absolutely. Now, what is the fees for these services, and what is the age that you start seeing children?
Currently, we have children as young as 18 months. We have worked with kids up to the age of 18. So primarily pediatrics. I would say that most of our children are between the ages of 2 and 10.
Okay, all right. And Tim, can you tell us a little bit about the fees for the services and how you determine that?
Sure. Where Sertoma Kids is unique is certainly there's a lot of speech language pathologists in Sarasota in the community, but we recognize that there's a lot of insurance companies that don't cover these services, and there's a lot of families that are unable to pay for these services. So we work on a sliding scale and provide these services regardless of the family's ability to pay. So our Sertoma Club is responsible primarily for raising the funds to operate the clinic, but the clinic itself, Sertoma Kids, is its own nonprofit 501c3, and it has some other fundraisers and things that it does to help raise money as well. Okay,
so you need donations from the community.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And I know there's an event you mentioned coming up in April.
There is. We're very excited to have our second annual event of My Hometown Fest. It will be at Nathan Benderson Park on April 15th.
All right.
And it is an opportunity to sample foods from across the region, but the various restaurants that will be bringing food samples from their hometown.
Lovely.
We'll
Okay.
also have Gold Coast Eagle that will be providing samples of many different craft beers from various
All right,
hometowns as well.
We're going to look forward to that, and our viewers can go to your website and find out more information.
That's right.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
All right.
Thank you. I'm sorry that our time was so short with you, but really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Coming up, our next guests focus on rescuing animals. We'll be right back.